Dave. All right, everyone, thanks for coming out. I'd like to call to order this February 6, 2024 meeting of the Oconee County Council. Time is 6 p.m. Let us begin with a moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir. I'd be glad to. Pray with me if you'd like to. Dearest Father, thank you for this day, this beautiful day, our ability to enjoy it, the very air we breathe and the ability to breathe it and all the gifts from that. You're very gracious to us, and I pray that you would continue in your faithfulness during this meeting, that you would give counsel insight, wisdom that they would not have apart from you, so that they can, and we as staff can, serve the citizens of this county in our best possible manner. Pray that this will be your meeting, and in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Glenn Hart, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of minutes for the January 23rd, 2024 special meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Ladies 5-0.
County Attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. First, if I could just note, I had a bit of an eye emergency today, so my eyes are dilated, so everything's a little weird. So I can't read all that well, but you can just bear with me on that. I know we need a motion to amend the agenda to add an executive session item to receive legal advice and discuss a contractual matter related to the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Ladies 5-0.
Similarly, need another motion to amend the agenda to add an additional executive session item to receive legal advice and discuss contractual issues related to the cities of Seneca, Walhalla, and Westminster.
Make a motion.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Ladies 5-0.
That was all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, see, County Administrator comment, Ms. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I do not have anything to report this evening outside of the agenda matters.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. All right, public comment session. And a reminder, you have 5 minutes to speak. At the 1 minute mark, I'll hold up a warning sign. Once you reach 5 minutes, I'll hold up a stop sign.
Tony Adams.
Tony Adams. Mr. Everett, your theatrics at the last council meeting didn't impress me at all. Neither do I think your theatrics of getting up and walking away from council bench impressed anybody that knows your political history back to 2018, your 2018 campaign for the seat you're sitting in. Your theatrics centered on Mr. Durham questioning your and Mr. Davis's truthfulness on what you did or did not know about the specifics of the $25 million county general obligation bond to build out sewer service in the I-85 corridor. When in fact, you and Mr. Davis have been in all the meetings when the specific uses of the bond were determined, and also what the bond would not be used for, as well as the total amount of the bond. Mr. Davis, you in particular had input on those items as documented in meeting minutes. For either of you to question anybody's truthfulness and integrity is ludicrous. based on your past actions during your campaign for the seats you're sitting in. I could discuss multiple specific examples of the dirty politics, including multiple lies you have used during your past campaigns. Like I said, for you to question anybody's truthfulness and integrity is ludicrous when you have none yourself.
Frankie Pearson.
Okay. My comments are for all five. I don't call out any one person. I was told you wasn't supposed to do that. But, what y'all did at the last meetings with this theatrical display y'all did, stuff that should have been handled in executive session, not in public, that was uncalled for. That was an embarrassment on this entire county, the way y'all acted. It's not just one person, it's all five of you. Y'all should have known better. It's not like this is your first time being on council. That stuff should have been handled in executive session. It was stupid of every one of you to do that in public out here. That was stuff that was done back in that room, and it should have stayed in that room, not out here in the public where y'all all acted like idiots. We elected y'all to serve this county, not fight amongst yourselves. Every one of you got people that voted for you. They want y'all to actually do things in this county instead of fight amongst yourselves. We didn't elect you to fight. If we did, we'd call this the WWF. But this is a council meeting that y'all supposed to work for this county. Every one of you, not just your district or your district. You work for the entire county. Just because District 2 elected you, District 1, y'all still work for the entire county. How about acting like it for a change and work for this entire county and quit fussing amongst yourselves? If you're gonna fuss, go in executive session. Go in there and fight like cats and dogs. I could care less. But when you come out here, act like councilmen. Y'all are the most disrespectful people I know. Thank you.
That's all this evening.
That's all? Thank you. All right, council member comments?
Yes, sir, I got one. Ever who posted that about you can only have 3 chickens? I have got different calls about you have 3 chickens per household if you're out in the country. That was bogus. I don't know who spreaded that, but I've got calls about it, and it's not true, and our planning department can tell you that it's absolutely a falsehood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Mr. Chairman, I've got something to say about that also. Also, I was accused of being behind the chicken thing. Number one, I don't even remember it. Number two, she's not in my district, and I don't care how many chickens people have. That's their own business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that I had mentioned, where it actually came out of was in the back of the material that was presented by a citizen that had the county letterhead on it, and stuff like that can look official. There's people that use logos that look very similar to the Oconee Economic Alliance logo for things. When it's not an official document, why are we allowing the use of our county seal? And one of the remarks that I've made to Ms. Brock is, if there's something that a citizen puts in a backup material, each page needs to be stamped something of, citizen, not official or something like that. So when somebody pulls it up, because it does look official till you look at all the misspellings and things like that. So things like that can easily get out of hand. Obviously, I got a bunch of chickens at my house, so I'm, in favor of it, but it's things like that that can have cause an issue that's really not an issue. But it was presented here, it was talked about, The citizen did bring it before, and there's citizens that bring a lot of stuff up that is absolute nonsense, just kind of what we had, tonight. But it doesn't mean that it's not something that somebody doesn't care about. But the problem that I have is when a county seal is used, when a logo that looks like a county logo is used, people see it as an official document. That's what happened here, that's what happens, and a lot of other usage of things. And I just think we need to be a whole lot more cautious with the allowance of use of our logo or likeness of our logo. And we need to be more protective of that, so it just comes across. If somebody types it up and sends it in, that's fine. But using our logo, creating a document to send out, that's a problem to me.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other comments?
Do we know, or do we have on record what she submitted?
It's in the backup material.
Did it have the logo on it then, or did somebody Photoshop that in?
No, it had logo on it.
So where would she have gotten it?
Internet, it's all over our stuff. It's just, we need to be more protective of that. So when somebody presents a document with the logo on it,
Well, I agree, it needs to be stamped info only, or
doesn't need to be
Citizen.
stamped info on it, needs to be stamped a citizen document or something like that, non-official citizen. All our backup material that gets presented, whether it's a sign or whether, there's a whole lot more stuff coming in our backup material than ever before. So there just needs to be something to differentiate what our backup material is, that's official backup material, than what somebody just wanted to push up here. Especially with it being election time, there's gonna be a whole lot of garbage, in my opinion, that people are gonna try to put in here, or stand up here and say, just because it's election time. So from that standpoint of it, I just think we need to be more protective of our county seal and our logos across the board.
Mr. Root, do we have a trademark on the seal?
We have the common law protection for both that and the Destination Oconee one, so, yeah. I didn't know about this, I missed it, but I'd like to see that document.
So if somebody's using it, it'll violate the law.
Right, yeah. We've had to send out cease and desist letters before, and we haven't had any problem with compliance.
she needs to be contacted and asked her where she got it.
Or you can get it off the website.
Yes.
You get it off the website and something other and paste and stuck what she wanted to in there with our symbol on it.
What the issue happened is when it got added into the backup material. It looks official,
Well,
because it's hard to differentiate.
I agree
If
with
you
you.
pull all the stuff in our backup material for tonight's meeting, you'll see all of our stuff now.
I know.
If anybody presented anything, it gets added into the backup. So I think what we need to make sure of is that if there's a citizen that presents a document, it can go in the backup, but it needs to be as a citizen, I don't know, something.
I agree with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I did speak with Mr. Davis about this on the day of what I call the chicken issue. We spent what appeared to be a lot of time on it, and it took me a little while to hunt it down on the Facebook side, but it was in our backup. It does have the appearance if you just glance at it. There were several discrepancies in the document, what our normal letterhead would look like, but you can literally go to any Google search, get our logo, right-click on it, save it, paste it onto a Word document. It is literally as simple as snapping your fingers. I did subsequently contact the council clerk. We have ordered a stamp, and if it's more than one page, it'll be stamped page 2 of 7, page 3 of 7, whatnot, so that we'll know that it was citizen-provided discussion materials, not an official Oconee County document.
Thank you, Ms. Brock.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, I would recommend that if it did have a seal on it, if it did have official or something like that, and it was not an official county statement, that either needs to be whited out or bleeped out or something in the backup material. That way you don't have, if we can't necessarily keep them from creating it, but we can keep it from getting in our backup material with a county logo on it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, comments? Hearing none, we have public hearing for the final ordinances. ordinance 2023-24, an ordinance to rezone parcel 177-00-02-184 from the control-free district to the lake residential district pursuant to Oconee County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Article 8.
We have one, speaker, Mr. Eric Bramlett.
Okay. So I close public hearing on ordinance 2023-24. Okay, now we have third and final reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023-24, I just read it for public hearing. It's on the screen in front of you. I have a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, second reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2024-05, an ordinance to appropriate and authorize the expenditure of $56,000 of funding under the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA, for the Seneca Library ADA ramp project and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
A motion second, any discussion?
I got a question. This has not been let as a contract yet, has it?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir, we haven't.
In other words, that's that much money's there, and if we get a bid less than that, we'll still have money left over.
Yes, sir, that is absolutely correct.
Any other discussions, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Next, we have ordinance 2024-06, an ordinance to supplement ordinance 2021-20, which appropriated and authorized the expenditure of $3 million of local coronavirus fiscal recovery funding received by Oconee County under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA, for purposes of the Seneca Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Project by amending the project scope to include additional water system improvements and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Have a motion, have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I talked with Bob with the city of Seneca last night at the sewer meeting, and what I had asked for before, I asked him and he gave me the answer that I was looking for. So basically, I'm in agreement with what they've done.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Vote is 5-0.
Ordinance 2024-10, an ordinance establishing a budgetary increase limitation for Oconee County, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. Anybody make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Hart,
Second.
second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what's the, I guess you've drawn this up,
I've drawn it up with the assistance of Mr. Root
but through your instructions.
through my request, yes.
So what's the, with this, I guess it's been called landmark, is that something that you came up with, or like this landmark thing, or was that just something that the media put out? I'm just trying to figure out where we're going with it.
Well, it's an ordinance that's intended to maintain the growth of the county budget in line with the actual growth of the county and inflation.
So, Mr. Chairman, so it's based on CPI and population growth in the South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office. So do you know what that those percents are for the 24-25 budget?
They will come out a little bit later this year, they were supplied to the auditor's office. We had those numbers during the budgetary process last year.
Will we have these numbers before the third reading?
Yes.
So if another council prior to you would have created an ordinance stating that you couldn't bond unless it went out to a referendum, even though you felt that ordinance wasn't in the best interest of what you were doing, would you have relied on the ordinance that past councils had put on you, or would you have seen it as past councils overstepping, I need to do what my citizens have elected me to do? Because putting a future council, regardless of what it is, whether it's a tax decrease or whatever it is, because we have had several tax decreases since the 2019 increase, to put us back in line with where we were at before on millage, I'm just trying to figure out why, first off, we're spending time on something like this, and our attorney is spending time on something like this through your direction that really doesn't hold a candle to anything, because the councils need to do, each council member needs to do what they were elected to do, whether it's me sitting up here or any of us sitting up here. And a budgetary restriction or this landmark ordinance is just a, to me.
I actually call it the
I know that's my attorney
conservative
speaking.
budget. I don't know what landmark, okay?
Well, I'm just seeing it out there as landmark. So, and then I've seen it plastered all out there, making sure with sponsored ads that we see it. And I'm just wondering what the real purpose of it is, because if all you're gonna do is, oh, the budget's really this, but we're gonna create all these funds over here so the budget looks like this, it's really confusing to the general public what we're doing, because we're not passing, this is not this big conservative budget. This doesn't create a conservative budget. This creates confusion with the general public, when we just need to make sure we're doing our job during the budget cycle and not doing what happened last year of, saying, by the way, we're gonna create this budget at, let's say, $50 or $60 million, and then, by the way, we're not gonna do that because we can't do that. We're going to third reading, throw this entirely new budget out here. And it's very confusing and not transparent at all. So what I'm saying is, why would we put a future council under any kind of ordinance when they need to do, to the best of their ability, what they're elected to do?
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend, paragraph or number 1, general fund growth limitation, after the long paragraph about how it's calculated. I'd like to put in parentheses, the limitation for the budget year 2024-25 is blank percent, in parentheses, for that to be filled in before third reading, or at third reading, if that's what it takes. That's my motion.
Can you explain that to me better?
I think Ms. Brock needs to know as soon as possible what the 2024-2025 budget limitation is, and I think it's transparent also before the public hearing, that people know what this is gonna do. So here again, my motion to amend is to add a line at the end of that paragraph, in parentheses, the limitation for the budget year 2024-2025 is blank percent, in parentheses, and this to be filled in before the public hearing.
Well, this isn't just for this budget year.
I understand, that's in parentheses, so it doesn't apply to anything else, but it gets out transparency to the public before we pass this thing, what it's gonna do for the budget this coming year.
It's pretty
It's
transparent.
transparency.
It's pretty transparent when you lay out that the county government budget should not increase more than inflation and growth of the county,
So what's wrong with putting the percent in there for 2024-25? What are you worried about?
because it's not just 2024-25.
And that's just in parentheses, that's why it's in parentheses.
Currently now, did we put,
Well, you don't want the public to know what we're doing before we pass it?
this is obviously before you pass a budget.
I'm talking about third reading, public hearing, so the public have a chance to come in and talk about it.
Obviously, there'll be a
What's wrong with
budget,
them talking about it?
there'll be a budget set at that point.
Okay. I hadn't heard a
So
second.
you want
Anybody-
the-
Anybody got a second on that?
So you want, in the budget document that's passed, what that percentage?
No, I want in this ordinance, in parentheses, what that limitation percent is for the 24-25 budget.
No, this is going on forward every year. It's
I
not just
understand
24,
that.
25.
I'm just being transparent. That's why it's in parentheses. So the public hearing knows what the numbers are before the public hearing. I think that's only fair and transparent.
It's fair and transparent that we get hard data from the Department of Revenue.
Okay. Did anybody got a
Tells us the
second?
numbers.
If not, I drop it. I got another minute.
Well, if we're still in discussion on, the whole goal of this ordinance is to be divisive at election time. There's no teeth to it, there's no purpose of it. We're wasting our time with this just to have something put on Facebook saying, we're for a conservative budget, these guys are not. And it's just a joke, because if all you're gonna do is start putting these funds out here to the side, instead of taking what used to be in the general fund, you're taking it outside the general fund to make your budget look smaller than it really is, or you're gonna half fund positions. So, right now, if you want my personal opinion, the budget's actually about $2 million more than what it was, because we had unfunded mandates in there from positions, because the budget was passed so late. So now you're gonna be playing catch-up in this budget cycle, moving forward. So putting a budget restriction on your own self is crazy with the $25 million fund bond that you put there. Hopefully we get a lot of industry in there, because it's gonna take a lot of industry. And I've even heard the crazy thing that we're gonna have, that area is gonna pay more taxes than Duke Power is. Obviously, that person has no idea how much taxes Duke Power pays and what a blessing they are to Oconee County. But to put this budget limitation in, it doesn't bother me. I just think the ordinance is just ridiculous, and it's divisive, and it doesn't do anything but confuse the general public. Going forward, all we need to make sure that we're doing is, we're not hiding the budget in certain funds and saying that we're passing a conservative budget when we passed the largest budget this council and this county has ever done, and we passed the largest bond this county has ever done. So everybody's dependent on us to make sure that we're going to move forward. We're going to make sure that we're recruiting industry in order to pay all this money back. That should be what we're focused on, not this piece of paper here that says, watch what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be conservative. No, we need to make sure that we're all working together, even though we don't always agree, to make sure that industry, which is looking at us right now, is not looking at a little white piece of paper and going, this county is where I want my industry to be. That needs to be our focus.
So I think our focus should be on the citizens of this county having sustainable government, sustainable budgeting. There's provisions in here, if the council deems to expand it past that, it just takes a 2/3 vote, which requires more of a consensus. You can't tell me that routinely it's okay to grow a budget double the pace of inflation and growth.
But you did exactly that this last year. But you hit it because you pulled stuff out that had always been in the general fund, and you threw it into these little funds.
So one thing, the
So I'm
funds,
pretty sure that if your budget had been completely funded, as had been done by past councils, to make sure that we don't have a budget shortfall the next year, you'd probably be in violation of this ordinance you're proposing right now.
so one thing,
Mr. Chair.
hold on a second, Mr. Elliott, I'm responding to Mr. Davis. One thing that you don't realize, and I've heard you know the conversations, yes, the funds are set aside in different funds, which is more transparent, because you're putting money designated for key things. And also, where we had this continual growing general fund budget, because in the general fund, your expenditures has to match your revenue, so that expenditures kept going up. One thing you never mentioned is, in the emergency services fund, it's sitting aside now $1.3 million to buy future fire trucks versus borrowing that money. Another $600,000 set aside extra in capital projects fund. So it's planning. It's not spending all that money.
That's exactly right. That's exactly why the capital vehicle replacement plan was created before you were even on council, for that reason, for specific purposes.
But this-
So I'm not saying that I disagree with the funds. I'm in agreement with the funds. I'm just saying, trying to play hide and seek, saying, look at me, I'm a conservative. Meanwhile, you're hiding these in these funds. So let's move on.
So, Mr. Chairman, so we've already built in a $2 million budget increase based on what we did last budget. So we got a salary study coming up. Stepping scale was 6 million, over 6 million. We don't know what the salary study's gonna be. Let's say it's 6 million. How we gonna do that? How we gonna do that, Mr. Chairman?
It's same, we said before, we weren't gonna do the whole 6 million 1 year. If it's 6 million, we'll have to come up with a
We already
long-term
built in
plan to
$2
get
million
there.
increase to the budget for this year. It's already built in.
So can you explain to me why you feel like the growth of the county government should continually outpace the growth of inflation and the growth of
Okay, I'll
population?
tell you. So, we all got an email from Ms. Brock a week and a half ago. In 2023 alone, 24 developments were announced. 3,830 houses announced. Average house, and averages have decimals, 3.5, but I'll be conservative, use 3 people per house. That's 11,490 people. If you use 78,000 ounce population, that's 14.7 growth. Now, we have to plan for this future. We don't want to be looking in the rearview mirror about what happened last year. CPI, Oconee's exploding. We're gonna need more sheriff's officers, we're gonna need more firefighters, we're gonna need more emergency services, we're gonna need more, heck, we're gonna need more people in the treasurer's office to take in taxes. It just goes all over the place. So we've got to plan for the future and not lock ourselves into some, this.
This accounts for population, so thank you for pointing that out.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it's gonna come in at 14.3. I know the states, they don't even know where Oconee County is.
How long has Kiwi Key been a development? It's still not full. Subdivision getting approved doesn't mean that they're getting built and filled up that year.
It is full.
I
Ask our board,
I went to the website, said they had 300 something lots.
really. It's not according to our board.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I think this should have been brought up 6 years ago. If you remember some of these budgets, I voted no on them. And when you go from 49,000 in 2 years, you go up to 49 million, you go up to 60 million in 2 years. I think it's time you put a clamp on it and slow it down to the growth of the county.
I did address the Oconee County employees. Guess what? You're not getting a raise.
What's the state's truth, John?
You don't know how.
Put the percent in so everybody knows what it is before public hearing, so the employees can come and talk.
There's no problem putting a percentage in, but don't limit it to the
Before the
24.
public hearing.
Before,
Before the public hearing.
if we get the data, it can be done, but don't
Then
limit this
let's make a
document.
motion, let's make a motion, we.
Hang on,
let's put that
don't
seed in.
limit this document to 24, 25.
Why?
It-
This ordinance is doing exactly what it's geared to do. Accomplish absolutely nothing but create a divisiveness up here. Because it doesn't hold anything to what we're trying to do going into the budget, but absolutely waste everybody's time.
It's not a waste of time,
It's a total
making
waste
sure
of time.
every dime is accounted for. I
Every
disagree.
dime is accounted for, and we have
And that we grow
audits that
responsibly.
prove that. We have, but what we just had, growth, what we just put forth. Do you know where the growth in the county budget is? It's in police and it's in fire, and you dang well, it better be. It needs to continue being.
So what this
Everything-
does,
Hang on, I don't talk when you talk.
don't point at me.
It's in police and fire, in our salaries. That's 90% of our growth. And the police and fire needs to continue, and we better start having continued increases, especially in our roads, in our building codes and inspections. Otherwise, we're gonna have to third-party all of this stuff. It's gonna cost us twice as much. So when you sit here and talk about budget increases, that's great that you voted no on it. Those were police raises, those were fire raises, And thank God we had great police raises this year, and I appreciate y'all putting that in, and that's great that y'all had that. The problem is y'all are complaining about prior budgets, but by God, if we hadn't had the great budgets we had that were passed 3-2, you voted against them, we would not have had the financial security that we had to get the bond that was passed 5-0, and we were in the greatest financial shape this county has ever been in. So let's just think about it before we pass this.
And part of that was, the reason why we got such a good bond rating was processes put in place by prior councils. And I appreciate Mr. Elliott coming on board and championing it. That was the growth of the fund balance. That's why we got such a great, and that was based on put in place by prior councils and then brought back forward.
Good job, Josh.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, you've got a paragraph in here. It's the last one, 5B, about repealer. So, if you go to ordinance chapter 2, article 6, fund balance policy, it was actually set in 2018 by Ms. Etta Kamick, my predecessor. And if you go to B, minimum unassigned fund balance, and this one was when the fund balance was in bad shape and was hurting our bond rate. The county administrator and county council shall develop and implement a plan that will bring the current unassigned fund balance up to an amount equally, at the minimum, 25% of regular general fund expenditures within 7 years of the enactment of this article. So that means for the 25-26 budget year, we've got to have 25% of the general fund in what I call the rainy day fund, which makes sense because you're told as a person, you're supposed to have 3 months' salary as an emergency, which is 25%. So does the county. Now, this repealer, I believe, will repeal this fund balance policy.
No,
Why wouldn't it?
that repealer is saying,
Why wouldn't it?
this ordinance is not touching the fund balance policy. It's touching the general
How do you
fund
think
budget.
we'll get it up to 25%?
The same way you've been doing it. You don't budget it,
We haven't been locking ourselves into a limitation. That's how it's worked
you
out.
don't write a line item in for the fund balance.
If you limit our revenue, because that's what you're doing, you're limiting revenue. You might be limiting expenditure, but you're limiting because revenue and expenditures, according to state government policy, law, has to balance.
That's correct, that's what I just stated.
Okay, so how are we gonna increase the fund balance up to where it needs to be by 25, 26?
We're pretty close to that amount now, but would you explain to me how we've been increasing up to this point?
Yes, because we haven't put some stupid limitation on there.
No, the mechanics of it for the public, why was that able to be increased?
Because
Because
I think,
we had unfilled positions. That was one. We didn't spend all the money.
we were thrifty.
That was needed. We had some, extra tax money that came in from Duke, which was help. There was a lot of different methods on that, especially if we didn't fill positions. We had people pulling double weight because we weren't able to fill positions because of salaries.
So per state law, you can't budget to grow the fund balance. It grew naturally through either over collection or over budgeted items.
We were thrifty, and
And
we
this-
got lucky.
Well, I
But you
intend to
can't
not
be
rely on
thrifty and
luck
lucky.
anymore.
You can't be thrifty and lucky if you put a limitation.
Does the population number that you're going at, does it include the amount of secondary residents and secondary people that come and stay here for a good amount of time?
I believe it does not, but that would be a minute amount compared to the overall population.
You sure about that?
So
Come check the lake out in the wintertime and see how many people.
State
around.
law at 388 limits your millage rate increase, which is on the revenue side, using these same metrics. Do you believe that that is a invalid metric for state law?
How are we gonna raise money for roads?
Well, it's interesting, we actually put more money in roads this time for the first time in many years.
And how many millions of dollars do we need to fix our roads?
How many people you got working on the road crew? put a hiring freeze on that. Remember that?
Which honestly, so right, anyway, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, they never did answer your question
Which
about
question was it?
388.
Yeah. Do you feel like those metrics used in state law at 388 is invalid?
So, do you know why we have some bad roads for the state right now?
I think I
Instead, they have to
You're not answering the
refund,
question.
they have to refund the money to people. We get tax refunds, $50, $60.
At
What we
388
do?
affects the county,
Why don't
not
we,
state.
why, they put a limitation on the state. We could be fixing our roads. We could have roads as good as Georgia right now. Yeah, 388.
Yeah, well,
Yep,
so
yep.
you feel like at 388, which is used to cap millage, the metrics used for that is invalid?
No, it's used to cap. Nobody maximizes the millage that's even allowed in Act 388 anyway. We have never even done anything sort of that.
Nope. Nowhere near.
And that's way outside the parameters of what this is. Like, again, this is doing exactly what you wanted to do, so y'all can get on your fingers and type on your Facebook pages. So,
And
move on.
WJOJ.
Call for the vote and move on.
Call for the vote.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Just 3-2.
All right, I have first and final reading of the following resolutions.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think we skipped over 08.
I apologize.
Still hurry to get to that one.
An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Project Red, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and/or other project companies, collectively company, with respect to certain economic development property located in Oconee County, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, and developing a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to designate the property of the project as part of the park and other related matters.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That's 5-0.
First and final reading for the final ordinance, resolutions, Resolution 2024-01, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a Rural Development Act agreement by and between Oconee County and Blue Ridge Electric Cooperative Incorporated regarding infrastructure investment sewer service by Blue Ridge Electric Cooperative Incorporated in the amount of $2 million, tax credits available in relation thereto, and other related matters.
Make a motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That's 5-0.
Discussion regarding action items. This is 2025 Kensworth T 880 with roll-off cable hoist, amount $275,633 by the Department of Solid Waste. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2023-24 budget process. Budget $275,633. Project cost $275,633. Balance of $0. Funding is coming from Capital Equipment 325 Vehicle Fund. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2025 Kensworth T880 with hoist and tarp system to Worldwide Equipment Enterprises Incorporated of Columbia, South Carolina, in the amount of $275,633 per Sourcewell contract number 060920-KTC. Have a motion?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Yes, sir. The Procurement Department, do you just get a sheet on this, or you actually test or see if you can find a cheaper price than this? I mean, do you call KW of Greenville or Caterpillar of Greenville? We get any prices from those people on this type of stuff, or we just go into what they throw out there for the government to pick from?
We usually ask for the MSRP, and then we'll go back and search on the web for the same equipment.
Okay, well, the reason I said that, I went on there too, but I never came up, well, I mean, I'm not saying this price is not good, I don't know that, but I'm just, after looking at this, somebody told me, said, you ought to call, Kentworth and Greenville and see what same price you can get out of it.
But was that with the hoist and the tarp system?
Well, that's what I'm saying, I don't know the price. I mean, I'm just asking, what method do we use to get this number?
Yeah, we usually try to find out, well, normally, we try to figure out what the MSRP would be if we just went to the street to buy it. And then we go to those contracts.
That answers my question.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
I have a 55-ton Globe lowboy trailer from the Department of Roads and Bridges. Amount $96,633.10. Procurement was approved by council on fiscal year 2023-24 budget process. Budget $96,633.10. Project cost $96,633.10. The balance of $0. Funding from capital equipment 325 vehicle fund. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a Globe 55-ton lowboy trailer from Globe Trailer Manufacturing Incorporated of Bradenton, Florida, in the amount of $96,633.10 per Sourcewell contract number 092922-GLB.
Make a motion.
I have a motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed, would you come up, please?
Hi, Todd. He prefers to watch the car until it's showtime for him.
Now, I've looked at, different lowboys, I mean, prices, and this price seems to be pretty much in line, but is this equipment, is it to where it can have another axle? I know it's got 3 axles, does it have, I don't even know what they call it.
Stinger axle.
The third axle, I mean, the 4th axle, it can be added to it. Is this thing capable of doing that?
I don't believe this one can, no. 55 tons is pretty much the max of anything that we're going to carry. What we've got now is 50. So the added 5 tons is going to help with wear and tear on the trailer, obviously, with what we carry. You know, the largest thing generally being 35-ton, 329 track hoe.
Another question. Do we have anything in the rock quarry that we have to haul that would weigh up to this 55 ton?
Yes, they have larger equipment, and you know, we may have to take off the counterweight off the track hoe or something like that, or drop the bucket, something along those lines. But this should tote, you know, be able to tote the machine itself to go get fixed.
Okay, that's basically what I want to know, if this thing could actually be, another rig put on it to make the tonnage increase.
No, I don't believe on this one, that it can. And like I said, you know, it may raise it up 5 tons or something like that, but we have ways of lessening that weight, which we would generally try to do. And that's what we've done in the past is try to lessen. We are going larger than the one that we have that's, you know, in use most of the time for us. And the one that's traded in is not, you know, being used as much.
Thank you, I appreciate
Yep.
the answers.
Mr. Reed?
Thank y'all.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
I have engineering services for Exit 4, Master Sanitary Sewer Pump Station, Force Main, and Limited Gravity Sewer from the Administration Department, amount $123,845. Procurement was approved by council on fiscal year 2023-24 budget process. Budget $123,845. Project cost $123,845. With a balance of $0. Funding is from general obligation bond. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve engineering services for Exit 4, Master Sanitary Sewer Pump Station, Force Main, and Limited Gravity Sewer to Thomas and Hurton of Greenville, South Carolina, in the amount of $123,845.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, the one concern I had, which we can talk about, that was the route through Doctors Road and West Pine Grove Road. Instead of connecting into the, line up around the Yoder's area was one of the things I wanted to talk about. That can just be touch base, that doesn't hold this up, go ahead.
Well, if I may, that's already been taken care of, is that, isn't it? I mean, the one that you wanted, Doctor's Road doesn't get it now.
Yeah, it
goes-
just stated, it states in here, which is why I was just wanting.
Well, yeah, the engineering plans have been changed.
Ms. Brock?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Davis, we had a telephone discussion after this material was submitted to council. The drawings have been updated. They will be resubmitted to the Sewer Authority for approval for the change in those engineering plans. Just a notation, for the public and for everyone's reference. This does include field investigation reports, assistance for this design phase, permitting, including SCDOT permitting, and construction services and oversight. The reason for us to want to provide oversight in a third-party capacity is that Oconee County does not have a water or sewer department, and we feel like let the experts be the experts on this. And that's the reason that we're bringing all of this, including the permitting and construction management side. The engineering plan still must be approved by the Sewer Authority, and once that approval begins, then we'll come back and that project will go to bid. This is just the management of that aspect of this phase.
Thank you, Ms. Brock.
The original proposal didn't include the other sewer routes, which is why originally was coming down Doctors and West Pine Grove. So that was a short route.
Yeah, Ms. Brock, I drew it on there for her where you wanted it.
Well, where it was, not where I wanted it, where it's best for it to run.
Well, where you recommended, okay?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
Okay, board and commission appointments. We have planning commission, one seat open on District 4 with 2 questionnaires on file.
I was trying to find my files right there in front of me, but I didn't have, you got a printout of those? It's in my book. Yep. All right, on, planning commission, I'd like to put, Josh Owens.
Okay, you want to put Josh Owens. He currently serves on the commission. Do we need to take any special action, or would it just be
I've
automatic?
spoken to him on that, and he will, after, if he gets his appointment tonight, he will resign from the Ag Advisory Board.
He would be deemed to resign if he, as soon as he accepts the appointment, and he's willing to, in any event, so yes, sir.
All in favor?
That is 5-0.
The next, we have Aeronautics Commission, District 4, 1 questionnaire on file.
And I have Mr. Wayne Roadletter for that one, too.
Okay, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
I need a motion to enter executive session for council discussion regarding contractual matter related to the city of Walhalla. To receive legal advice and discuss contractual matter regarding building code enforcement. I've got notes here for the rest of these. A contractual matter with the OJRSA, and for a contractual matter, I believe we named all the towns: Seneca, Walhalla, Westminster.
Just those 3.
Just those 3? Okay.
Make motion.
Motion second. All in favor?
That is 5-0.
Is everybody back? I need a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Root?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in relation to the executive session item that was added regarding the sewer authority and receiving legal advice in relation to the contract with the sewer authority, need a motion to direct the county attorney to investigate potential contractual claims related to the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority.
Make motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.